Okay, so today is a few days after I've done one of the endurance tests to see how I'm going to do in preparation for the record attempt and what I've learned from it. So I'll give a brief recap and where this is going towards and how I'm feeling about it. So the idea is that I'm going to try and go for the world distance record on an indoor cycle using I would like to use Wooka rules to do this. So what I've been doing is been working through the different processes, learning stuff, getting things set up so that I can put into action what will be an executable plan. Part of that is the fitness, part of that is nutrition, part of that is the endurance and the fatigue. And then you've got to kind of combine it all together for 7 days straight, and then hopefully by the end of it have a world record. Providing I get all the different compliance rules and all the rest of it to fit into place and validate it. So that's what I've been working towards. And 10 days ago, well, a bit more than that, was a test on a track outdoors. It was fantastic. It was a really good experience. And I was using the Dolan bike, the TT bike, to then set 10 mile time frames, and then I can work out what my CDA is. Then from the CDA, that goes into the Wooka rules to work out what the virtual distance would be to make it work. So that was about 11, 12 days ago. That was the first step. But because it means that if you're going to use the CDA data from the real world, you then have to use the same bike, which is on the Turbo Trainer. So this weekend just gone, was a test to see how could I hold that TT position, comfort and all the rest of it, to work through how long could I hold that for the 7 days. And mixed results. I'll go into the detail of it. So the test format which I was going for was on the Saturday morning, wake up, go through what would be the process for the attempts, come into here, get onto the time trial bike, ride for around about 11 hours, getting data, testing how to stream onto Twitch, doing lots of other bits and pieces that are related to the comfort, nutrition, working through carbohydrate load to make sure that I'm stomaching and accepting enough energy to go in, work through some of the niggles, and then have a break, which was going to be my sleep for 7 hours or so, then come back out again, jump back on the bike, go through the process, which will be the following days, to make it so it's 2 days over the weekend, and then finish it late on the Sunday night, to hopefully have about 21 hours or so, 22 hours or so of data, or 36-hour period effectively, in here or around the place, and to get that representation. So that's what I did. How did it go? Well, for parts of it, the fueling was better in terms of I managed to keep my stomach awake for longer. There was parts of if I go through the nutrition section, I was trying to keep a carbohydrate load of about 60 grams per hour going in constantly at all times, using a variety of different carbohydrate sources. So some of that was more simplistic stuff. It was like the sweets, it was like Nerds, energy bottles, gels, and then also some more complex carbohydrate going in, things like jacket potatoes, noodles, and various other bits and pieces to try and make it so that your stomach doesn't get fatigue, because effectively you're going to put a hell of a lot of stress onto the stomach over the 48 hours. So part of it did work, parts of it are blue chunks because it was just not sitting right. And then once I'd actually vomited and thrown up, things really started to resettle, and then it was kind of like it was easier. The only thing was that the amount of carbohydrate you require for this is very high. Trying to keep that going in is quite difficult. So you get fatigue in your legs and you will lack energy. Part of it is that I need to do work on carbohydrate training of my stomach. So that you're going to have your training of your muscles and your legs, but also training of the stomach to actually uptake and absorb that amount of carbohydrates going through your body. It's not something that you can just go and switch on over the weekend. So I've got part of an action plan and listened to some of the podcasts about nutrition. I've got some ideas on how I'm going to address that, and I'll work through that over the next few weeks. So that was part of the nutrition side of it. The other part of which was the technological side of it. Zwift has been stable as always, so that's fine. Quite happy with that. I had to do some of the evidence which is going to be streaming. So I was running Twitch on a separate computer at the same time. Excuse me. I haven't actually used that Twitch setup for a number of years, probably since the last time I did some of the crazy long distance indoor stuff. So the computer failed. It lasted for the first 12 hours. Excuse me. And then it crashed. So I need to do some rebuilding on that. It's a bit of a techie bit. I also ran the Garmin head unit, which was working fine. That was logging the data which is coming from the power pedals. I had to get a difference between what's on the turbo trainer and what's on the power pedal. Excuse me. But that's what's expected. You always get a loss in the drive chain. The turbo trainer power meter may not be as accurate as what the pedals are going to be. And also, the Wooker recommends using the pedals because it doesn't have heat accumulation in it compared to what a turbo trainer can have, because the pedals are designed to do that, whereas a turbo trainer might be only designed to hold accuracy for 6 hours or 8 hours. Pedals are designed to go the whole time. So that was fine. That works well. Other bits and pieces like how to stream stuff, that was a technical glitch with Bluetooth, which meant that I didn't have full speakers to have music, but that's entertainment. That will keep going. One of the two things I did do was trashy movies, because that kept me entertained for a bit. So that's what went through the process. By the time I got off the bike at the end of Sunday, I was very tired. My legs, because today is Wednesday, my legs are coming back. They were feeling very rubbery and wobbly for quite some time. So overall, there was learning points and there's a lot of work that was done. The bits that went wrong, the bits that I think that need improvement or I need to change or readdress. So being in the tuck position far more, adjust my power output and my comfort. On the second day, I found it a lot harder to maintain into the tuck position. I wanted to sit up more naturally because I wanted to open up my stomach, my abdomen, and change the hip angle. The hip angle is something I have maintained and I have held that closed up position for some time, but kind of it didn't feel naturally comfortable for the length of time I was going to be in that position. I think over the course of the 7 days, I'm going to be sitting up more and less time actually in the tuck position. Which brings me on to what bike choice will be. So currently at the moment on the turbo trainer setup is actually the Dolan. I had originally had the idea of would I use the Enigma instead. The reason I'm using the Enigma would be that because it's my ultra and distance endurance bike, I'm familiar with it, it's bike fitted, all the rest of it, brilliant, that's really good. But the CDA is going to be crap, it's going to be much lower. So the idea was that if I use the Dolan, it would increase the CDA, which then increased the distance, but if I can't do the distance because I'm not comfortable, is it worth having second thoughts and going back and testing the Enigma? So I got some parts on order to convert the turbo trainer from Shimano onto Campag for the Enigma and the Dolan anyway. It'll convert across and then I can test it out and see what it does. If I could do 5 hours sitting on the Enigma, how does that feel compared to doing 5 hours sitting on the Dolan? So that's one thing I'm working through. The other thing is that this weekend I've got more time on the test track, which means I'm going to take both bikes. I'll do a CDA testing on the Dolan. I think there's some improvements. I reckon I can get the CDA lower on the Dolan, but I'll also use the same setup, personal setup, but I'll switch bikes and go across onto the Enigma, because I think the Enigma long term over the course of the 7 days may be a better option. But it depends on if I work out the two CDA numbers, put it into the calculators, put in percentage of time in each position, and see whether one is so astronomically crap, it's worth going for the other one, even if it's blah, blah, blah. So I'll try and work out a balance on that. So that's what's been working through. Unfortunately, yesterday or Monday, which was recovery day, was a funeral. So that kind of a bit of a weird headspace after that. I'd think I'd much prefer to be much more prepared for this. However, I think that the ball's rolling on it, and a real opportunity to do it again, I don't know. So it's almost getting to the point where either it's going to have to be full commitment, and after the end of Sunday night, I didn't feel fully committed. It didn't feel right at all. Yesterday and over the course of the start of the week, I started to feel a bit more positive about it, and there's more opportunities to do stuff. The options are either go for it in October, sandbag it, put it off, and try and go for it in the spring, or come back to it in a couple of years' time. I think that's the different options I've got. Last weekend, I think, was a very, very valuable. I learned a lot from this. I learned or reawakened stuff that I'd neglected or forgotten because I haven't done this for a number of months. So that's where I'm at the moment. More testing to go, more development to do, more working through. I'm going to modify my workouts, particularly the 6 a.m. ones. I'm going to work out and modify my evening ones as well. There's some parts of it I've learned that I'm going to change, but that's the progress I'm up to at the moment. Number of weeks to go. I still need to respond to Larry at Wooker about what I'm doing and where I am. A couple of big concerns I have got is support. How much of a team have I got around me to do this and support me? It's going to be very support heavy. The other part of it is things like positioning on the bike, where my hand positions are according to recalculates your CDA over the course of 7 days. It almost needs a camera somewhere up in the top, which is looking down on the handlebars with some automatic recognition goes of all the pixels, say that his hands are on the hoods, they're on the tops, they're on the bar extensions, and then just logs it automatically because somebody sat there. It is 7:41 p.m. and 37 seconds and he's on the hoods. It's 7:41 p.m. and 52 seconds and he's moved to the bars. It's going to be impossible to log over 7 days. I think that's the big concern that I have got. Apart from that, I'm still cracking on with it and keeping going. So I'll stick this on YouTube and all the YouTube bullshitty stuff. There you go.